Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
All right. Oh, work. Because we're at work today, right, Kurt? Thank you for that. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Deborah Kobylt Live. Yes, you're at the right place. We changed our name from Kobylt and Friends, because usually most of my friends are here on the show with me, to Deborah Kobylt Live. We have a whole new branding thing going on that we'll fill you in later as weeks to come. But we have a terrific show. I'm going to introduce my first guest, who is in studio with me. He is David Fuhrer, one of the most interesting men that I know, and he happens to be a friend of mine. He is an inventor. He is an entrepreneur. He has licensed more than 300 toys and household products with retail sales exceeding $1 billion, which is pretty impressive. But what impresses me perhaps even more, he is known for his unusual ability to speak backwards fluently, and you hold the Guinness Book of World Records with that, right?
That's right.
Okay, I find that to be fascinating because I can barely speak regularly, let alone backwards fluently, and we're going to back into that a little bit later to see how you even started this. But first, I always love to open our show with a little bit of politics, right, Kurt?
Of course.
My board-op guy, Kurt.
Yeah.
And last night, I hope that most people tuned in. Trump spoke before a joint session of Congress for the first time. It's sort of like a State of the Union speech, but he hasn't been in office long enough to do that. I like to call this segment Trump's Trick. And the trick last night was that Trump managed to not really piss off anybody. I mean, what was amazing was I was watching CNN, and I tend to bounce around. I bounce from Fox to CNN to wherever else, network news, et cetera, CNBC. And in a poll from CNN, they gave him a 78% positive reaction from a public poll. Even NPR, their poll was way up for Trump on his speech last night, which I found fascinating. Personally, I think CNN is trying to get their seat back in the press room. That's why they were actually very complimentary toward him. And I thought, they got an agenda here. They need to get back in that room. But just a couple of highlights. He talked about spending $1 trillion to rebuild the highways and infrastructure and bridges and all that. That's really the most amount of money that anyone has spent on an infrastructure project since Eisenhower. So that's pretty incredible. Where he's going to get the money from, I don't know. No one was able to question him on this. And then, of course, he called on Congress for paid family leave, which I thought was really amazing. Very, very interesting. And I think Ivanka had a really big hand, so I read today, in writing his speech. And also, do you happen to know who else wrote his speech?
No, I don't.
No? Okay, I'll tell you. I've got it on my phone here, so hang on a minute. He's about 32 years old, and he is a guy who's here close by and from where we are in Hollywood, from Santa Monica College. His name is Stephen Miller.
Oh, yeah, Stephen Miller.
You know Stephen Miller?
I don't know him personally, but I've read about Stephen Miller.
Yeah, Stephen Miller pretty much single-handedly wrote most of that speech. He was apparently blasted when he went to school in Santa Monica. He's from Santa Monica High, I should say, because he was a conservative guy. And now look where he is. At 31 years old, he's writing a speech for the President of the United States. So it was pretty incredible. He also talked about deregulating the industries, which was really interesting, to make it make it a little easier for people to do their business here. But perhaps what really, I think, touched a lot of people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, and all sorts of people, was when he was talking about the widow, when he was talking about Ryan Owens, the fallen Navy SEAL, and his widow was in the audience, seated to the right of Ivanka Trump. That was a very, very touching moment. Do we have a little video of that?
We do, yes.
Okay, let's go to that.
We are blessed to be joined tonight by Corinne Owens, the widow of U.S. Navy Special Operator, Senior Chief William Ryan Owens. Ryan died as he lived, a warrior and a hero, battling against terrorism and securing our nation.
That was really such a
It's a powerful moment.
powerful, powerful moment for so many people. Thank you, Kurt. Thanks a lot. Wasn't that a powerful moment? Again, I know you're not a guy who really likes to talk much about politics, but politics aside, as humanity, what that said to a lot of people was, I think it softened the moment. It softened the tone in the room, really, don't you think?
Oh, I think so. It brought me to tears.
It did. It brought most people I know to tears. Even the diehard Dems that I know were saying, okay, he got me there. And he got their attention, and therefore they were able to listen. And this is something that I've said all along about Donald Trump. He needs to soften up, and he needs to have, so that people can listen instead of being so irritated with his personality. And when he has somebody write a speech for him, and it's got a little bit of humanity inside, and he stays on teleprompter and stays off of his phone, then he's not so bad. So I think he actually, do you know what his approval ratings were today, the next day? They've remained really high. So perhaps he's learning a lesson, and he's going to, maybe stick to teleprompter and continue in that way. So well done. And I just wanted to start our little
He looked
segment.
good, too, by the way. He walked out and the tie was, tucked in.
Did you not notice that his hair was a different color orange?
Yes.
It was short to the side, cropped. I'm not one for the comb over thing. A little less of a comb over. The orange was gone, so we found a better hairdresser. I guess they have better guys working in the White House, right?
They must.
Doing the hair. So I actually thought he looked pretty
And
good.
the suit.
Better hair, a calmer Donald. I mean, is this the new guy that we're going to be seeing?
Well, hopefully we'll see a pivot.
And a better fitting suit. With all his money, you'd think he'd have a better fitting suit. So they worked on that too. Right?
Yeah.
I thought it came off really well. So I was very pleased, and hopefully CNN, with all that good coverage, will get their seat back in the press room. So there we go. Now, thank you for allowing me to talk about politics for a little bit. I love politics. I love to talk about it. I don't necessarily care anyone's allegiance with their politics, but to me it's just very interesting.
Yes, especially now.
Especially now, absolutely. David Fuhrer, my dear friend, who was kind enough to come on today, I find you to be so fascinating because he is just an ordinary guy, but he's not. I mean, what you've done, I can't imagine what goes on right in here, right? I mean, to be an inventor, to have invented, you must be thinking all the time, right? I mean, I wanted to ask you about your backstory, and that's sort of a double entendre because you speak backwards. Were you like a little toddler and you just walked up to your parents and started speaking backwards? I mean, how did you figure out that you could do such a thing?
Yeah, basically, yes. I said Mom, and she said he's talking backwards.
So they
And then
probably
I said Dad.
Very good.
Of course, my brother's Bob.
There you go. No, but really, how did that whole thing start? Everybody probably wants to know that, right?
Well, when I was little, I used to call all my friends by their names backwards, and then people realized I could do it very quickly. But
What's Deborah backwards?
that would be Harabed.
Ooh, that's awful. Who would want to be
So
called
it'd be
Harabed?
Deborah Kobylt would be Harabed Tleibach.
Oh my goodness, please stick to the regular. That is hilarious. Look at you laughing over there. Say that again. Honestly, it sounds like a terrorist. Say it again.
Deborah's Harabed, and Kobylt is Tleibach.
Okay. What about Zara?
That would be Araz.
Okay, so say it fast for me. Deborah's.
Harabed Araz Tleibach.
Oh my Lord! This is why we don't do
This
things
could
like
be your movie star name.
I have a movie star name, actually. We'll talk about that
Might
later,
be
too,
overseas,
because
but it maybe not for the United
because we
States.
have something else in common. We were both in horror movies.
That's right.
We've got all kinds of things in common. So, do you mind if we play a clip? Do we have a clip of David when he was on Carson, right? Is that the
Yes.
clip we have of him? Okay, here we go.
When he converses, he has the gift of gab, but it comes out
That's
backwards.
not Carson.
And he's been scheduled to be on the show 5 times.
David Fuhrer gets a big hand.
Oh, look at that.
Millions know and love him from his memorable guest spots on television's hottest talk shows, including The Tonight Show and
5
Late Night
times,
with
4 or
David
5
Letterman.
times.
Hey, Jim and Nancy, det vet rare now. That class struck us up. No, when I hear something, I can put it backwards. I say it the way that it's spelled. For instance, if we were to take a word like mouse, I'll use as an example.
Mouse.
I would
cute
say
you were.
Esuom, E-S-U-O-M, which would be M-O-U-S-E forward. But if I was reversing the sounds, it would come out like sound.
Not only can he speak backwards, he can also sing backwards.
take me
Who
out to the
could
ball
ever
game.
forget his stirring
Mediation
rendition
football, did you
of
say?
Take Me Out to
Okay.
the Ball Game?
Oh, I have to
This is
hear
an
this.
American tune, Paul.
Okay, bring it down. I'm going to have him do it here in the studio.
Yeah, but Mustang's not Sedgwick Park. It's not a rock fire, Reverend take a sab, tell him, Tortorafini Mo Mayet. No, we see a Maz, Rob Steve, out here, Sequoia Tuo, Tatiloi, Maglab.
Are they going to write your name backwards on your tombstone?
Yes.
Very
It'll
nice.
be Divat.
Say the 7 dirty words on
That's okay. We can take it down now. Thank you. Thank you. That is incredible. But again, let's get back to when you were a little kid. All right.
Okay, so I'm a little kid and I'm saying things backwards and nobody's paying much attention.
I know. Do they ever? Right? Like back in the day, I don't think they ever paid attention to anybody talking. But if you're talking backwards, I would think somebody would pay attention and bring you to the doctor.
Yeah,
right?
well,
it doesn't work right.
Everything changed. I went away to summer camp. I got up on stage at a talent show and I sang the Star Spangled Banner backwards and took words from the audience. And from that day forward, I was known as David Backwards.
David Backwards. Was that a good thing? David Backwards.
Yeah, it was okay.
So what were you like as a little kid? Because to be an inventor, that's a whole, there's writers and there's performers, but an inventor's brain is something very different. Do you always look at something and think, oh, I can make that better?
No, I'm always just looking for new ways to do old things. So I'm just constantly looking for ways to innovate because there really aren't that many truly new inventions. Today you see it with technology, but I would say I'm more of a business person looking for new opportunities to make products.
Right. So what's one of your more, would you say, successful? You've got one of them here, right? I must have 10 of these in my house. The Nerf.
Well, thank
Vortex,
you. We're talking about the Nerf Vortex football.
Now, do you find this or did you invent this yourself?
No, I'm the co-inventor. So I worked together with another guy and we had a bunch of ideas for sports toys. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to figure out things that were aspirational for kids. Like, can you dunk a basketball or hit a home run?
Okay, you know how I look at this as a mom? Is this going to screw up your furniture? In other words, as a kid is throwing the stuff around the house, and the answer is no. So this is brilliant. You must have also looked at it as a parent, right?
Yes. Well, this was before I was a parent, but the problem that I had is I could never throw a football. Okay. So I wanted to make a more aerodynamic football that was easy to throw. So even if I threw it poorly, it would straighten out and go far.
So then, that's just incredible that your brain will think that way, that you look at something and try and make it better or try and deviate from it. That's pretty remarkable. What else have you done? Okay, David brought an entire bag of luggage of things that he's invented or is working on. Can you pull something else out of there?
Sure.
It's over there.
I can tell you about the first product I worked on, which was a game called Backwards.
Okay.
And this is how it all started.
Doesn't that make sense? Right? Okay, so what is it?
So what happened is I was on a variety of TV shows demonstrating this, what I like to call this useless ability to speak backwards.
Okay.
And I started thinking, how can I make a product that was related to my backwards talking?
And how old were you at the time?
Well, this was now cut to 25 years old. So
Okay.
I'd been on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, which was an amazing experience. And then I was on David Letterman, where I broke the record of being bumped more than any guest in the history of the Letterman show.
See, we didn't bump you, David. We wanted you here.
No.
We got you here, and you could have been bumped, let me tell you, but not
I
here.
have moved up in the world. So they actually flew me to New York 6 times.
Oh, you got a free trip out of it.
And each time I was scheduled as the last guest. And then they would run out of time and they would send me back to my hotel and back home to Boston where I was living at the time. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I made it on the show.
And what did David say? David was probably thrilled to have you on the show.
Yes, he almost fell off his chair when I said George Carlin's 7 dirty words that you can't say on television.
Give it to me, because you could say it on a podcast,
I have to think
by
about
the way.
them. Okay, Tisif Kasaftanak Rakufratam Rakuskasak and Stit.
What's stit?
That would be tits, but
Tit.
it shouldn't be said.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a good one. I had to
Sorry,
ask,
folks.
didn't I? No, but that's not really a dirty word. You can say tits all you want, right? So look at you. I'm making you all red. Sorry, I told you I would do this to you.
Yes.
So my mind just goes there, David. I can't help it. So can we say some of the curse words a little bit, or not really?
Sure, it's up to you.
Yeah. Okay. So what's
It's basically all of your favorites.
all the favorites? And you just sit there at home and you think, okay, I'm going to do this backwards, or that's just how your brain works.
You know, it's kind of the way my brain works. I don't really think about it unless somebody asks me to do it. But if I will notice street signs and things, like, for example, here in L.A., I was driving by
That's
in the valley.
dangerous.
There's a street called Moore Park, and I looked at it and I said, oh, that's crap room.
Crap room. Now make a right at crap room. They're like,
Yeah,
there
make
is
a
no
right.
crap room here. There's only a Moore Park.
Yes.
So when you look at people, do you sort of look at them differently? Like, are you sizing me up in an odd way? And, you know?
Well,
David.
but not because of my backwards talking, perhaps, but it's...
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes.
We'll get to that another time. No, I just find it interesting because it's a way that most people's brains simply don't look at things. What did you major in college?
Broadcasting and film.
And you went to Boston, right?
Boston University.
Boston University, broadcasting and film. So you've got that background, and
Yep, came out here to work in the entertainment industry as a talent agent. Started my career that way, and then pivoted to invention when I created the backwards game.
And how do you play the backwards game? I mean, is it sort of like Scrabble and all the words have to be backwards?
Well, basically, players hear a word with a clue backwards, and then the first player to shout out the answer forward gets to advance on the board. So I'm going to try you. I'll give you an example.
Oh, God.
So if I said it's a 6-letter fruit, a nanab.
Banana?
Banana. See,
Oh, my
you're
gosh.
good at
I'm
it.
very good at this.
You're very good at it.
I'm honored. Give me another easy one, please.
Okay, 5-letter fruit. We'll stick with fruits. How about no mel?
Ooh. Apple? No.
No mel.
No mel. Hurry up. Kurt, give it to me.
Kurt, you
Come
want to try
on.
it? Crick?
Quick. What's a no mel? Oh,
no
Mary,
mel is a lemon.
Oh, I don't think of lemons.
And a
I'm
no
thinking,
lem
okay,
is a melon.
I'm in the orange, in the apple, and the banana mode. I'm not. The lemons are
Okay.
a subsidiary one. Okay, give me another one. Make it easy.
All right,
This is my show.
I'll make it very easy then.
Yeah.
A palindrome is a word that's the same thing forward or backwards. So I'll give you some palindromes. How about
God.
race car?
Okay.
Race
come
car
on.
is race car.
Yeah, but now
pa-
you're. Yeah. Okay.
See, or there are long ones too. There's star comedy by Democrats. Since you want to talk politics, that if you wrote that sentence down, it would be exactly the same backward and forward.
This makes me nervous because I feel like he's testing my intelligence, and I just can't go there. This is like beyond what I'm capable of doing, and I know you too. You're just turning red. Thinking,
Well, you try
what's
me
he
then.
talking about?
Pick any word or sentence you can think of.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh,
Say that
That'd
backwards.
be Sesadalepsiusitselagjarflacripus.
You practice that. Deborah, you are simply quite amazing.
Harabed Eroi Yilpamis Etiak Gnizama. Harabed, of course, was Deborah. UR is Uoi Ira. Simply was Yilpamis. So was As. And amazing was Gnizama.
I don't know. It sounds nicer the other way, right? This way it just sounds like you're mad at me, right? I mean,
Sounds like I'm speaking Hebrew.
It sounds like you're speaking Hebrew. It really
Yes.
does. I don't know, David. I find this really fascinating. So, I mean, other than talking backwards, okay. I mean, do your kids always do this to you at home, or are they just sick of it? I know you've got 2 boys. When they bring their kids over, they're like, "My dad could talk backwards." And do you do that kind
Doesn't
of thing? or no?
happen too often. I think they're probably more embarrassed about it.
I know. Kids are always embarrassed no matter what we do. No matter what I do, they don't talk about it. They barely even introduce me to their
Right.
friends. So, but do their friends know you're like the backwards talking
Yeah,
dad?
I think some of their friends know, and they do like to ask me how to say things backwards.
Do you ever do like auctions and stuff? Imagine like going up there and trying to auction stuff off, and you're like the funny guy who does everything backwards.
Yeah, but I might do it backwards, and then the amount of money that people would bid would just get lower and lower and lower.
very true.
I'd be the worst auctioneer in the history
I
of
see. I think it'd be
of
great because
auctioning.
you're so charming. So, the Vortex football and 300 toys and household products. That's a lot. That's a mouthful. I mean, and every time I talk to you, I see you outside of the studio, sometimes at the gym and elsewhere on the baseball field. You're always traveling very often to Japan. You're going there. Where are a lot of these products made, developed? I mean, are you just going everywhere to look for stuff? How
Well,
does this work?
I spend a lot of my time now just looking for innovation. And it can come from anywhere. So very often I'll go, as you mentioned, to Japan because there are a lot of great invention companies and what I call platform technologies. For example, I work with Pilot, the pen company. They have a division called Pilot Ink, which creates ink technologies of like color change. You've seen things when you touch them because of the heat of your hands that they'll change color. So that's called a thermochromic ink. So I'll travel around the world, and I'll also meet with inventors now throughout the United States where they'll come in and they'll pitch me their ideas. So I spent about 25 years inventing products myself, and now I've shifted and I've started producing infomercials. And now inventors come in, so it's a little bit like Shark Tank, if you've ever watched that show.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about your involvement in Shark Tank.
Well, my involvement isn't directly with the show, but I do some work with the judges. Damon John is one of the judges on the show, and of course, he was the founder of FUBU.
That's
and
right.
So I occasionally will partner with Damon and look at product concepts. So I sometimes sit on the set, but my daily life is a little bit like Shark Tank, disconnected from the show, where people will come in, they'll pitch me their ideas,
And they'll
for new
come
products.
in. I mean, where do you have a studio, or do you have where do you work out of? Your office?
Oh,
your
no, I have an
home?
office, and we have a staff of people, and we'll look at product pitches. Many of them just come in through the internet now.
I was going to say, most people, they can just, you go on the web and you just FaceTime it, and
Yeah.
there they are. I mean, and the name of your company is Blue Square.
Blue Square Innovations.
Okay.
And we're now a division of Spin Master, which is the 4th largest toy company of the world. So Spin Master took over this company, and now I operate independently, but we are owned by Spin Master.
So walk me through. I have an invention, and I want you to see it. I get on the phone, I email you. What do you do? What's the whole process? If someone is interested, they think they have this great idea, and they've got to get it to you. What do you do?
Well, the first thing we do is we want people to feel that they're protected when they show their ideas. So
Right.
we give them a non-disclosure agreement so that there's a record of the fact that they're showing us a new product. And then I keep a written record of the meeting itself where we give our point whether we've decided to keep the product or send it back or we're rejecting it for a particular reason. But generally speaking, when I look at a product, I quickly check off some boxes in my head. And the first thing I look at is
Is it fun, right?
well, if it's a toy, I look at for toy concepts or children's products as well as household everyday products.
Okay.
Because now that we're doing infomercials as well as toys. So I started with toys, and now we've shifted also to some household products. So the first thing I'll look at is what is the widest possible demographic that this product appeals to.
Because I read that you're not really as interested in the niche product. You really would like it to have way more of a mass appeal. But if you
Right.
have a niche product, that could also sell really well, depending upon the price point. And correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's different markets. Like what I'm going for is really sort of that super mass market. Like the best product is for every household in America. Everybody chops onions. Everybody has a problem storing their shoes or storage under the bathroom sink. So I'm not,
Right.
Occasionally somebody will come in, they'll say like, well, this is for pregnant women at the beach. And, to be more
I
comfortable
could have
in the
used something
sand.
when I was pregnant.
So, and I'll look at it and
you'd
I'll say,
"Nah."
well, now you're taking everybody and shrinking them to pregnant women, and now you're taking, just the summer months, and now you're taking geography. So it's really a relatively small market, and I'm looking more for something for everybody.
And pretty much to people, should they have tested out their product before they come to you? Or can they just say, hey, give me an idea of a product that maybe you saw recently, if you're able to discuss it, or the one that you have maybe in production that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example of one we did. There was a product, I'm going to pull it out of this box.
Pull it out.
And this is a good example. It's not that exciting, but it was
fun.
very successful. And this is called the Swivel Store. And the reason what this is basically a better way to store your spices in your cabinet. So the concept is that there was a. Let me just back up and say that I like to look at things that are a solution to a common everyday problem.
Right.
Those are the best inventions.
So in other words, like the Chia Pet would not have been your invention.
No, well, the
I
Chia
love the
Pet,
Chia Pet, by the way.
sometimes that's what I would call a novelty, and occasionally with a novelty, the lightning bolt hits and something becomes very successful. But most of those you never see.
Right.
For every Chia Pet, you see 1,000 things that don't work.
Plus the hair would have to grow, so you'd have to make
Yeah.
sure. So that's obviously a very successful product.
Yeah, the reason it was successful, and I didn't realize it at the time, is that if you virtually everybody's home, whether you have a tiny little apartment or if you have a big fancy house like you probably have, you may
too,
have,
David.
No, not me, but we all have problem storing spices. So some people use a Lazy Susan or just scatter them on their shelves. In my house, we had a Lazy Susan, and I could never find, if we had onion salt, I'd be scouring around, and the others would be falling down.
So true. It's so true.
So I basically came up with a better way to display your spices.
But let me see this for a second. So come on, I'm a great Vanna White. Are you kidding me? Bring this over here.
So the product is about the size of a cereal box, and it simply slides out and swivels forward, and then you can see all your spices.
Okay.
Very simple idea, but it was a huge target market. So we didn't have to get a high percentage of everybody.
I like how it swivels out. You're right. So it sort of comes out of the cabinet and then it swivels so that you can really see them, just directly see them.
That's right.
Very smart. Okay.
So you're taking something that took a lot of space previously and you're putting it in a small space.
What else you got in there?
Solving a common problem.
I love this bag. I'm telling you, I feel like a kid at Christmas.
Well, here's another toy that we did.
I love toys.
And
they make me
excited. This is called
excited.
Aquadoodle.
Okay, let me have the aquadoodle.
Okay.
By the way, I think there's someone, our next guest, waiting on the phone. So give me a few minutes. We're
Sure.
going through David Fuhrer's inventions. This is so aquadoodle. Oh, I love aquadoodle. I've seen this in stores.
Well,
Right?
aquadoodle is the best-selling, what they call preschool activity toy in the world.
I would
and
enjoy it.
What's wonderful about aquadoodle is that you can draw with water. So the mat itself is impregnated with a special kind of an ink that you don't see. It's called a hydrochromatic ink. But what that means is that mom or dad can just simply fill the pen that comes with aquadoodle with water. And when they draw on the mat, it writes like it's a colorful marker. But if children write on the wall or on their hands, it's just water. So it's the first opportunity for a preschooler to create on a large surface without making a mess.
This must have been a real success, huh? This is one of
Yeah.
your big sellers.
Yeah, so far there's more than 10 million units have sold around the world.
Okay, if these are your products, you must be making a windfall, David Fuhrer.
No, they come
Talking
and they
about
go.
my big house.
They
What about
come and
yours?
Well, we always have, partners and they come and they go. And the thing about most inventions, this one is a little bit different because it's lasted now for 15 years and it's continuing to sell, as well as the Vortex football. But for the most part, products come and go. There's almost an insatiable appetite by the big retailers for new things.
But that Vortex football is one that has been around for a while. I know because I have kids at different ages and, they get dirty and whatever. So a couple of years down the road, you need another Vortex football
Yes.
and another, right? This is one that seems to have stood the test of time. At least I think so.
Yeah, well, it's at the end of the day, it's a very good product. And it has great branding with Nerf. Most kids know what Nerf is. And that when we launched the product, we had John Elway, the football player, at the height of his career doing the TV commercials. And
Brilliant.
it took
That was
off right
brilliant.
out of the gate. And there's also an interesting story here in that this is an example of perseverance because when I created the Vortex, I pitched it to 23 different companies who passed on it.
Okay, but that's the key, is it not? Not just to inventing, but to anything. You keep going, right? You believe
In some
it?
cases, if you really believe in it, you keep going, and you also have to know when to put it to bed. Because I also look at a lot of products that I think have no shot, and people continue to pitch them over and over again, and you really just have to listen to what other people are telling you.
Or I guess in your case, you're listening to your gut because you really believed in this
Yeah,
one.
over time. At the beginning, I didn't have the experience that I have today, and I still don't know. We look at things, and I think that they're going to be successful, and often I scratch my head when they're not. But, thankfully, I have a few successes and many, many more failures. But in the case, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in the case of Vortex, so I had 23 companies turn it down, and then I'm at this trade show in Japan, and I'm sitting across the table from a guy that ran this little company in Northern California called Odds On. And he said to me, you're an inventor. Do you have a product that I don't care if everybody's turned it down, that you believe in it, that you think is great, because that's the one that I want to see.
I like that thinking because that's how I think.
It was a great question. And I looked at him and I said, there's this one product. It's this ball. And I told him a little bit about the product. And he said, I want you to send that to me. So I go back from Japan, and 3 days later, the guy calls me on the phone and he said, I want you to FedEx that product to me. Sounded interesting when you told me. I sent it to him. The next day he calls me up, fly up here, Northern California, and we're going to do the product.
I love this.
And there were 3 or 4 people sitting around around a conference table. We made the deal, and the product came out. In its first year, it sold over 2 million units. John Elway was the spokesperson, and the company was called Odds On, and they were later acquired by Hasbro, which owns Nerf, and that's how it became the Nerf Vortex football. But it started out with a small entrepreneurial company with a visionary leader who saw the potential for this product and got behind it and made a quality product.
So for people, very briefly, because then we'll go to our caller, you'll really like this guy, James Izzo, and I hope I'm saying your name right, Jay, rather. Internet doctor will explain what that is. But someone who wants to really go and sell you something, they really do need to protect their product first. That's number one. You can't just run around at the bar, right, and say, oh, I got this great idea. You really should protect it.
Well, ideally, the way that people can truly protect themselves is with a patent, and there are different kinds of patents. But at the end of the day, I find, I'm not an
Patent,
attorney.
trademark, right?
Well, there's patents which protect your invention, and there are different kinds of patents. They call them design patents or utility patents.
Okay.
And some will protect you more than others. Like a utility patent, if you had created Velcro, maybe you would get that. But a design patent might be just the design of your product, which is very easy for somebody to copy.
Okay.
So what really protects people, particularly in toys, is creating the leading brand. So it's often not the intellectual property protection of the patent itself, but that it's creating a brand name and getting distribution in all the major retailers, getting into Walmart, getting into Target, getting into Toys R Us.
That's why Shark Tank is so valuable, because some of these folks up there say, I can get you into Bed Bath & Beyond, I can get you into here, right? Do you do the same thing? I mean, if you take on
Yes.
a guy or gal who has an invention, do you give them some sort of guarantee? Like, I think I can get you into this and this?
Yeah, I mean, typically the business model is somebody brings us something, we like the product, we enter into, they call it a license agreement. And what that means is we pay in advance of money, and then we pay a royalty or a percentage of sales. And then we develop the product, we shoot the TV commercials, we manufacture the product, which is often made in China these days because of the major retailers are always looking for the lowest possible price. I know not everybody likes that.
No, but are you going to maybe change that business model down the road? I know you don't like talking politics.
Well, we
but
always
one never
try to
knows.
make things in the United States, but often, toys are labor intensive, and
They are.
and the buying offices for the big retailers happen to be over in China, and that's where the whole infrastructure is set up to manufacture products and ship them back to the United States. So that may change over time. It has to change for everybody.
Do you love what you do? Is this fun? I
Uh,
would think
I
it would be
can't
so
ima-
much fun every day to go to work and see what kind of toy or product you can bring into someone's life, right?
I think it's amazing because, every day I'm looking at something new, and I never know when that next great thing is going to land on my desk. And, sometimes I sit there and we're struggling, like, should it be a bird or should it be a dog? As we look at a game idea or something, and I just pinch myself and I say, oh, thank God I'm not, like, doing something different. This is so much fun.
Oh, yeah. I have to come by your offices one day. Do you shoot your infomercials also in the office, or do you have a separate studio
No,
space?
we use a variety of different producers around the United States that specialize in different types of products. So if it's a pet product, we use one group, and if it's a toy, we use another group. And, they're spread out throughout the United States. But it really is a lot of fun, and it's great for inventors. I mean, the great thing is that a new idea can come from anywhere and anybody. So you don't have to be a mechanical engineer or some kind of, inventor.
You
like
can be
a
a
lot of people,
mom who really, I just
I
saw
see
something.
great ideas from moms.
Jay, I'm going to get you in a second. You know what? I just saw something, and it came across Facebook. I could have used this for my first kid. How to get your kid to sleep. It was this bed. It was sort of like an egg-shaped bed, and you strap the kid down on his or her stomach so that they can sleep, and then the bed just sort of has this rolling motion, and it goes all night. And I thought, what a great idea. But so even maybe some mom thought of that. I don't know who thought of it, but I'm just saying you could be anybody and have an idea.
I see a lot of great ideas from moms because moms are on the front lines every
Oh,
day
yeah.
dealing with problems of various sorts and trying
day.
to come up with innovative solutions.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that's what I was saying. It's so great because an idea can come from anyone.
Do you use a lot of social media, which is a great transition into you, Jay, to get your products out there or no?
Well, now you have to.
Yeah.
So what I'm finding is that, the traditional method was you put something on television and you hope that people are home, I like to say. And that
Yeah, especially in the middle of the night to watch your infomercial,
yeah,
right?
so the infomercial can come on any time of day or night. And we buy what they call remnant media, which is unsold media time. So the infomercial will show up at any time. And then you expect that the phone is going to ring or the people are going to go to your website. But I think that the world has shifted dramatically over the last 3 or 4 years.
It really has. But I imagine also with social media, you'll get it out, your infomercial out there, on Facebook, on Instagram. Instagram's a big one. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff pop up on Instagram.
You have to have a digital marketing strategy today and what's beautiful about it is you can directly hit your target market. So you can narrow it down. For example, we just had a pet product, and we can find people that have big dogs that are typically like to buy toys for big dogs.
Right.
It's very, very targeted.
So you just
and
target
at a much lower cost.
Right. No, that's brilliant. So Jay, are you listening in on the conversation?
Oh, yes, I'm hearing it loud and clear.
Thank you for waiting, first of all. They call you the Internet
Sure.
Doctor, and thank you so much for being here and for joining us. I find you to also be equally as fascinating as my friend here, David Fuhrer, an inventor. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you do. What the heck is an Internet Doctor? I know that you really target how people sell themselves, for example, on the internet. I'm sure products as well. How do you work? Because I know lots of people are going out and running around trying to increase their social media status or getting influencers and whatnot. And as you would say, people spending a lot of money but not really targeting properly and not getting bang for the buck. So let's say they come to you. What do you do?
Yeah, so the Internet Doctor is a trademark, interestingly enough, that the government told me I couldn't have and then ended up giving me.
Okay.
And so I am getting an echo.
You are getting an echo. Are you listening live by chance?
No, I'm not. I am on my.
All right,
I'm on a landline.
Well, you know
so
what?
I'm
Let's
getting
try
a
and
little bit
work
of an
through
echo.
it. I just try and work through it. Kurt, if you can work on this end. I don't hear anything, actually. Do you, David?
I don't know.
I don't
Well,
hear
let's
anything.
try it again.
Yeah, let's keep trying. So,
Let's try it again. Okay. So no. Anyway, so the whole Internet Doctor thing basically is understanding the psychology of the consumer and how they interact in different online mediums, whether it be social media, the internet, and even face-to-face. So I'm more of a consumer analyst on the consumer psych side, trying to help people understand that probably the most stable aspect of this entire digital experience is the human, because the technology is moving way too fast for
yep, I agree.
the
I
human
agree
to keep
too.
up with. But the human is stable. I mean, we still succumb to the exact same things we have always succumbed to. Rewards and punishments still work. Sorry, they just do. They always will work, and it's because the human being is the most stable aspect. I'm sure, with inventions, the truth of the matter is, people will buy something that they find intriguing, and we're emotional to begin with, so we make all our purchases based on emotion. It doesn't matter what it is. And so if we like it, if we want it, if we desire it, or if we fear that we may be missing out on it, we're going to purchase the product, or we're going to get it because we want to be in the know. We want to be the first to do it. We think that it may be functional, it may be fun, it may influence others to buy it because we've bought it. So that's kind of what the Internet Doctor does. He looks at all the different pieces of psychology in the human and how they interact in different environments.
Okay, but you also help grow products. Is that not correct? Or grow an individual, or grow even somebody's website. Do you do that as well?
What I do is I look at how to enhance the performance, the productivity of their website. So
What does that mean?
I
Like
will look at how,
walk me through it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I will look at how their website is actually connecting with the potential user.
Okay.
So if you have a particular, let's say you're in real estate,
Right.
and you're in Los Angeles or wherever it may be, I'm going to look at, does your website, from the look, the feel, and the content and how it is laid out, is that connecting with the consumer, and are you getting everything out of it that you need in order for it to be most successful and create the most profit for you? So we're going to take a look at all the analytics. We're going to take it to usability. We're going to look at heat maps and how people click and how they even inadvertent clicking.
All right. So
You
for
know,
the
how they
regular
may-
for the regular guy and girl out there, let's say David, we already know this is a success, but he really wants to get this out there, right? And he's talking about it, right, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram. I don't know. How would you do something like that? Or let's say I have something. Let's say my show, for example. I want to really, for example, attract more viewers. What would you do for somebody like me? What would you do for somebody like David? Sort of break it down for folks who don't quite understand the back end of this.
Sure. Well, it's really cool because we actually have two different things. One is a product and one is a service, and they're not the same thing.
Okay.
When it comes to social media and the internet, right? So David makes an invention. That's a product. He can actually target that product and set up a shopping cart, if you will, where people can click on an ad, go right to the shopping cart, and purchase that product.
Have you been doing that,
Right.
David? Have you been doing that? The new sort of way of doing business? It's true. You just see it pop up there. Let's say on Facebook, it scrolls by, you pop it.
Yes.
So you have been doing that.
Yeah, we have.
Are you doing it?
Right.
Are you outsourcing that, or is it something you're doing in your own at your own company? Because that's
A
tough.
little about, I mean, we're doing it now internally.
Right.
You met earlier, I have a 25-year-old nephew who's now working in my office named Sam Fuhrer. And Sam is a digital marketing expert. And I like to say, I call him the creative millennial. So
I love that
he
you-
just
yeah.
figures out, he knows it, and I don't.
Yeah.
And he knows how to reach the consumer.
And he's using the social media to do
A
that.
lot of Facebook, Instagram, exactly.
Yeah, because you can really target that way. And also, do you have a what's your website, by the way? Do you have a website that you sell most of your products on, or
No, well, we set up an individual website for every particular product.
each product? Did
That's
you ever
right.
think of setting up one in your name and then you sell all your products on that? That's another way to go too. Looks
We
to me
do.
giving him
Most of our
ideas.
products, are on Amazon, and people can find them through there as well. But I mean, our website, just for informational purposes, is bluesquareinnovations.com, and then I have a second one on the invention side of the business, which is funenough.com, which is FUNANUF, the same thing backwards, fun enough.
So with what he's doing, okay, is he should be able to target who's purchasing these products, correct?
Yes.
Is that how you have it set up? And is that what you do also, Jay?
Well, I do not do any paid social media advertising. I try to get people to do this for free and create EWAM, electronic word of mouth. So
Right.
I look at relationship building within these different cultures, otherwise known as platforms, because each culture is unique in of itself. So Twitter is a different culture from Facebook than LinkedIn than
So then
Instagram.
how would you get the word out, for free for someone like David with all these products? Like how?
Yeah,
Walk me through that briefly.
Yeah, sure. Let's walk through that. So one of the biggest thing right now, I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday Wall Street Journal just posted that YouTube now, we view 1 billion hours of video per day. 1 billion. 1 billion.
Did
with
you
a
read
B.
that yesterday? I almost found that hard to believe. I almost had to take
No,
a.
that's
Yeah.
no, don't. It's not. It's really true. YouTube is 1 billion hours of viewing per day across the board. So it's a huge monster. So one of the things I love that's really free is doing videos, especially like Facebook Live. I love the storylines in Instagram.
I do
love
too.
the video. I love the video ability in LinkedIn. And people love video. We can't get enough of it. And I would love to see David take his products, and I would love to see them in different ways different ways of his inventions being used in a really fun, creative, and funny way. We want to be entertained. And one of the things that we're seeing that's really working out there now is entertaining video with whether it be a product or a service. And the more entertaining we are, the more that we are apt to come back and look
Right.
again for
To make it
something
fun,
that you're doing.
right?
Yeah.
Make it fun.
I completely agree with Jay, and we're
Well, who
starting
wants to buy
see,
anything boring? I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Right.
look at this aquadoodle thing or the vortex and the backwards game
Right.
and everything else you're showing me. It's got to be fun. So
Yeah, and sometimes what we're finding is a lot of the end users or our consumers who buy the product are creating their own content and putting it online.
which is great.
And as long as it's positive, it's great.
So we only have a few minutes.
Yeah.
What about for somebody like me who's growing a podcast? Let's say, what would you do for somebody like me?
And by the way, I went through and I looked through your archives. I even
Oops.
went back before What's Up, and I went way back.
What,
and
to my
looked at
CNN
all your-
stuff? I mean, that's my really good
Yes,
stuff.
I did. I went to your CNN, your Fox stuff. I went back.
I don't even know where that is. So
You have
okay,
you have a great presence about you. And
isn't this
and I
true?
love
Thank
that.
you. No, I'm just
Yes.
kidding.
And so
I
you
will
guys-
second
you have
that.
to you have to utilize that presence.
Well,
right?
then help me, buddy, because
So one
go ahead.
Yeah. So, no, you got to utilize this presence. And I would love to see 30-second fun things that you do. You've done interviewed a variety of people and done a variety of shows. The millennial with her father who wrote the book, You're Getting Fat in Your Work, or whatever it was, I think it was. And then you interviewed this gal who was running a brothel somewhere. She was from Utah and
Yeah,
everything. I love the 30-second snippets. I would love to see you do some Facebook Live stuff that's just fun and entertaining with you. And I don't know if Linda's still doing it or you and Misty or whatever you're doing, but I would love to see 30-second live posts somewhere. I would go back and dig back into
I'm
my
a pistol, all
CNN
right. No, I agree. As my husband would often say, I'm more of an entertainer probably than a reporter. But, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, even when I was doing a serious news story at CNN, I would always somehow interject my personality into it.
Yes.
And they would say, no, don't do that. Just give us the news. I'm like, why not? This is more interesting. So I'm holding.
And you got to go back to that. And because you're not
Thank
on CNN, this is now yours.
Yeah.
And so, Deborah, I would just say, be you, be the entertainer that you are, because you're a great entertainer as
Thank
well
you.
as a great interviewer. And I would go back and I would give people as many snippets as that I can, whether it be an Instagram Live, whether it be a Facebook Live, even a 10-second Snapchat post of something that you did that you found interesting, or a regular YouTube snippet, something that's really entertaining and fun and also gives us enough information that we want more.
Okay,
And
I like
I
that.
would
I'm going to
really
call you
utilize that.
when we leave here, maybe like next day or two. Is that okay? Because I could actually
I'd
use
love
a little
to.
more. I'd like your opinion on that. So, and talking about me, well, I enjoyed that. That's always very interesting. Well, there you go.
Me
It's true.
too.
So, a parting word or two before we let you go, because you've been very, very insightful, and we enjoy having you on. How many people do you help? How many business people do you help on a yearly basis? I mean, how many clients do you have?
You know what? I consult. I don't know what the number is a year, but I also do a lot of free consulting to our military when they come over,
Well, I like
and
that.
they're trying to transition back from being in the military, and then they're trying to get a civilian job. So I do free. So I consult a lot of those folks. I help a lot of entrepreneurs and small business people utilize these cultures, these platforms, and utilize them for free without spending money on marketing, because I know a lot of these mom and pop places don't have a lot of money. And even though it's inexpensive,
I like that.
I can help them find ways to be able, with just a little bit of time on their own time, that they can utilize these cultures in a way that they can affect the culture in a positive way and get positive electronic word of mouth for them, for their business, and get people to do it for them.
Very good. So, how can people get in touch with you, Jay?
Yeah, so the Internet Doctor is a registered trademark. So if you see that circle R,
Yeah.
it's registered. That's me. I'm the only one in the U.S. as the Internet Doctor. You can find me at socialmediology.com. You can. I'm on every social media platform. It doesn't matter what it is. Just look up the Internet Doctor on LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, Twitter. I'm there. If you can't find me, it's because I've died suddenly. And
Well,
they've
let's
taken
not
off
hope
all the
that's the
platforms.
case. Well, I'm going to get in touch
Yeah.
with you in the next day or two, if you don't mind, Jay, because I really appreciated
I'd love
having
to.
you on. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely great.
Okay,
for
bye.
having me on.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me on.
See, okay. Do we not have an enormous studio audience in here? I mean, we've probably larger than Shark Tank, right? I mean, look at all those people here clapping.
Yes.
So, what's your next project that you're working on, Mr. David Fuhrer?
It's top secret.
Oh,
Can
come
you keep
on.
a secret? No, I'm actually trying something new and completely different. So there are two things I'm working on right now. We have a new type of a children's playhouse that can instantly be stored away in 3 seconds or less.
Ooh.
But more importantly, I'm launching a girls' collectible exclusively with Justice stores in the fall.
So, what does that mean? What is a girl's?
So we've created a new product that's kind of I would call it a transformer for girls. I can't talk about it too much, but it's a really innovative, unusual product. And we're going to launch it like a movie. We're going to have a date where it comes out. We're going to do it exclusively with one major retailer, Justice, which is over 1,000 stores and shopping malls, and their target market is girls 6 to 12 years old. And we're going to, Jay had mentioned influencers, or you had mentioned influencers, and this is really an important new way for people to market products.
It really
online.
is. It's very important. I've become very interested in all this on how.
Yeah.
I'm very excited by it, actually.
Well, you're an influencer. I mean, influencers are really the new celebrities.
It's true.
So
the regular people. You don't have to be picked up by a network or anything. You could just go out and do your own thing, and you're an influencer. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So you can get on the internet and develop a following of people, and there are some people out there who, let's call them regular people. They're not famous celebrities from a television show, and they have 2 or 3 million people that are following what they do because they're making.
They do that. I mean, they're not even that interesting. Sometimes I go and I'm like, what you're talking about isn't that interesting. I don't.
Well, I guess
get
it's
that.
interesting to someone.
I guess.
So
Those are the people you need to target, right?
And we have to find those people, and those people now are becoming celebrities, and they're starting to be agencies that are springing up that are representing these people, like talent agencies. And, you have to find people that appeal to your target market to talk about your product in some kind of organic way.
I was just going to use that word, organic. It's a way more organic way to grow something because it's not contrived.
At least for now.
For now, you're right. I sometimes am a little concerned about some of the social media out there because people buy names and all that, and in which case I often wonder, how real is it? If someone has certain numbers, you think, are they real? Are they not? Are they real people?
Yeah.
So that's really a concern.
Yeah, and I think the credibility is a factor. So if more and more of these folks are getting paid to promote a product, over time, I think that they're going to lose their credibility.
I agree with you.
But right now, it's a trend that's happening. You're going to see a lot of products that are promoted through so-called influencers. And it's not going away anytime soon.
Why don't you have me sell some of your stuff? I'm very persuasive. I could sell almost anything.
I think you'd be great.
I'm actually serious. I'm
maybe
very
we will.
believable. People like to see, they really trust me. I mean, I could have a little girl, they'll just start following me around. I have that way. And if I really like a product and believe in something, I think I'm your girl, actually, David, if you want to know the truth.
I think you could be. You certainly have the skills to do that.
I think so. So I have really enjoyed having you here, but is there anything you want to say before you leave on how someone can get in touch with you if they have a great idea?
Well, you can go through our website, again, which is bluesquareinnovations.com. There is a way to contact through that website. I would suggest to people, if they have an idea, that the first thing that they should do is Google it, because that's what we do. Because often people will think they have something that's new and different, and then you just go into Google and you type in your idea, and then it pops up that 300 other people have the same idea, and it's very frustrating. So it's very hard. So really what you're looking to do if you're an inventor is you don't have to create something truly new. What you want to do is take something that people are already doing, whether we talked about like storing spices.
Anything else that you have in there? We actually have another minute or two before I really let you go. Anything you wanted to highlight? I mean, I see that s'mores thing. Did you invent that too?
Yes. So Deborah's referring to this, which is called the Hershey's S'mores Maker. And
this was your idea?
Yes, this was a product.
That's in everybody's house, I know. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it uses a light bulb to melt a marshmallow. So we built this thing. It looks like a campfire. It has a light bulb inside that the children can't touch. It's built in a way where it's protected from a safety standpoint. And they put a marshmallow on a stick inside this device, and in a couple of minutes it melts, and you have a homemade s'mores.
And it really works? I mean, the light bulb can melt your marshmallow?
Yeah, it takes about 3 or 4 minutes.
So if I went up to a lamp that I have in my den, I could just stick a marshmallow on I'm just curious, on a light bulb, and it would melt my
So
my
moms
marshmallow?
across America, Deborah's suggesting to your children that they should take a marshmallow to your light bulbs.
But I didn't even realize that a light bulb could melt a marshmallow.
It will take a little time,
but
it will work.
But tonight there's going to be like melted marshmallow all over on people's lamps all over America.
Yes, just make sure you have chocolate bars and graham crackers when you're melting those marshmallows on your lamps.
Over your lamp. Any parting words before we let you go, or better yet, any parting words that you can say backwards? I would love to hear it. Anything you want to tell me that nobody else should really hear, but you can say backwards and they'll have to try and figure it out.
I could say, or I valawoi, or I love you, Harabed.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I valawoi, Harabed, and Stis Nib Erosail at Eb Eret, which is, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Oh, pleasure to be here
and
too.
Knat Awoi, which is thank you.
Thank you back. I can't say it backwards. I feel like I'm sort of missing something.
And tomorrow is my birthday, and I'm going to teach you quickly, if we have time, how to sing happy birthday backwards.
Go ahead. Oh, please. I can't do it with you, but go ahead.
Yippa yada trib ottawoy, yippa yada trib ottawoy, yippa yada trib raid, in my case divad, yippa yada trib ottawoy.
Oh, we have a little applause from our enormous studio audience. Oh, David, happy birthday.
Thank you.
A great way to spend the birthday, and we love you back, David. So thank you for being so kind. What a wonderful man. Thank you for being here and taking the time with your son and your nephew, right? Who's also next door in the green room. And that was a really, really fun show. I loved having you here. We'll have you back. And we'll see you next week for another terrific edition of Deborah Kobylt Live, the new name of our show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.